Okay, so I only recently got back home to Johannesburg, so I haven't really managed to do the whole setup or anything, and I'm hoping that the audio is fine. But this is not going to be like my previous videos, especially not like my previous train of thought videos in which I go a little bit deeper into certain social or political issues. Last week, South Africa, particularly the KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng provinces, saw violence, rioting, looting, political unrest, whatever you want to call it, the likes of which we have not seen in, I think, 3 decades. I figured I should talk about it, but I want to make clear from the beginning that I don't have any answers. I don't even have a script for this video. All I have is my own story. Where do I begin with this? Those who know me will know that my father lives in Umtunzini. It is a beautiful, beautiful small town on the north coast of KwaZulu-Natal. You are surrounded by forests and the river and the sea, and it's just always for me been a calming and gorgeous little place to escape the mad rush that is Johannesburg. So because I can work remotely as part of my day job, when the president announced a few weeks ago that travel in and out of Gauteng province, where Johannesburg is located, would be prohibited to curb the spread of COVID-19. South Africa is in the midst right now of a 3rd wave of the virus. I decided it would make a lot of sense to just stay in Umtunzini and work from home. I'm really not qualified to assess or to talk about what happened or what caused it. I don't want to add to the noise and the speculation that you see online at a time when honestly nobody really knows what happened or why it happened. Several factors did very clearly come together. The former president of South Africa, Jacob Zuma, has long been facing a number of corruption charges and investigations, and eventually he was sentenced to 15 months in jail by the Constitutional Court for contempt of court. His supporters and allies have long been threatening violence, and KwaZulu-Natal is his home province. However, this seems to have coincided with existing service delivery protests, existing tensions and concerns around rising inequality and the exacerbation of hardship and poverty faced by so many during the COVID-19 lockdown. What began then as a number of different protests merged into the perfect storm of chaos. And when it became clear that the police could not keep a hold on everything, very quickly looting began. My family and I were at the river on the morning that we heard protesters marching and singing as they crossed the bridge towards the town. Soon after that, on the farm across the river, the sugarcane field started burning. Sugarcane, I've now learnt, it sounds like fireworks in the distance, firecrackers popping and popping and popping as the moisture within the plant evaporates and explodes. However, the protesters never made it into Umtunzini. There is only one road in and out of the town, and it had been blocked by a local community watch group. All across the province, in small towns, just like Mtunzini, community groups, militias, vigilantes, basically big men in their khaki shorts with their guns and their trucks, gathered at choke points to make sure that protesters and looters never got into their communities. I call them vigilantes for a reason. I don't want to sound like I'm ungrateful to our khaki overlords, Dimano, because their actions prevented destruction of property, kept communities safe in a time of uncertainty, prevented food and resources from being lost. My family and I spent that week of uncertainty and chaos in relative comfort. We went hiking, we roasted marshmallows on a fire, we went fishing. The news, the drama, only came to us through national TV news networks.
Police are trying to disperse this crowd here that is just hell-bent on looting.
All right, so that particular gentleman, of course, did eventually get the television into the back of his car.
But very quickly, and sadly, I would say expectedly, the community watch groups started racially profiling, assaulting, excluding black people who also live in these communities, who are also affected by the violence, who are also just looking for food and resources, because they were black. And this was justified by so many people in so many communities. It scares me how quickly, in times of uncertainty, people will resort to authoritarianism, to bigotry, to us versus them, especially at a time like this when clearly political tensions are incredibly high in this country. We cannot afford to let that kind of behavior become the norm, even when, admittedly, the police, the state, did not do enough to protect those communities. I also feel, honestly, like some of these men, they just really loved getting to play soldier. So there's the food truck. You can smell like meat being prepared as they feed the local, I guess, militia, commando, and they're bringing people in and out, blocking it with vehicles and that plastic barrier. It's been very quiet in Mtunzini relative to the rest of KwaZulu-Natal. Like, rumor has it that even though there was very limited danger that protests would return to Mtunzini, they kept blockading that road. They made sure that that shop, the grocery store, was closed for much longer than it needed to be. They were checking everyone who comes in and comes out. They were monitoring the railway that passes through the town, but a bunch of them were sitting on the south bridge looking north, while a bunch of them were on the north bridge looking south. So these protectors of the town were just basically looking at each other. It was less about actually doing anything, it seemed, than it was just about getting to be the big, strong, important man who's protecting his community and who really didn't want to just have to get back to work after a couple of days. I know of a lesbian activist who lives a couple hours south of where I was. She posted on social media her deep thanks for the husbands and the fathers who are out patrolling the streets, keeping the community safe. So I guess progressive politics kind of just goes out the window in times of crisis. I don't want to be too harsh. I cannot say enough that I am glad I was staying in a space where things were not burning down, where access to food was relatively certain. But while everyone is busy condemning the looters and praising the white middle class men in their vans, I just felt it's important to provide some context. I think a lot of us have lost context. South Africa remains the most, not one of the most, but the most unequal societies in the world. Eventually things calmed down. The store opened and we could go and get food. However, as a safety measure, barricades were put up in front of it so that only a set number of people at any given time would be allowed to go and buy food. But families that I had engaged with in the days after we went to get food were so shocked to have found that there was enough food. Recent events were bad. I'm not going to lie about that. But when you see people stockpiling and hoarding as if we're about to enter a civil war, when you see the media speculating about, is this an insurrection? Is this the end of South Africa? Is the currency going to collapse? When you see expats overseas snidely remarking about how they got out in time, and then a few days later, everything is fine. Everything won't be fine if this kind of stuff continues to happen, if the root causes are not addressed. But everything was fine. People, communities began to rebuild and clean up. Eventually, the government sent in the military, and life goes on. Given everything that was happening, my siblings and I decided it would be better to try and get back to Johannesburg. We got formal police permission to cross the provincial border as the COVID-19 restrictions remained in place. We struggled to get petrol. The majority of nearby fuel stations had been looted or damaged terribly, and the oil refinery in Durban to our south, which apparently supplies something like 30% of the petrol in the country, had to be shut down for safety reasons at the height of the unrest. Eventually, though, we got petrol, and we made our way back to Johannesburg. On the way up, we saw a lot of the damage. We saw armored military vehicles heading south towards the hotspots. But we were fine. A lot of people were not fine. A lot of people have lost everything. But the people complaining that it is the end of South Africa are almost never the ones who have been most affected by this crisis. The ones most affected by this crisis were the ones who could not leave. The ones who had nothing to begin with. I made this video not really knowing where I was going with it, just feeling like I needed to get something out there, and I'm not sure exactly when I'm going to be able to edit it and get it out because I've got a lot of work to catch up on. But for posterity, I thought I should say something. I created this channel for the purpose of showing the best, the most exciting, the most interesting travel experiences that I have had. I'm hoping to have many more such experiences in South Africa and across the world as this channel goes on and as I get to travel more and more. But I think you cannot have the good, the positive, the beautiful little town on the coast without acknowledging the very real political issues of the country where that town is situated and the very frightening political impulses of some of the people who you share that town with. This is not an indictment on Umtunzini or South Africa, but for now, it's time to just reflect on what brought us to this moment.